Hey y'all, I know it's been a minute, but here we are back with the vibes. Of course, this is Steph and Cat Talk Wow, giving you a double dose of everything that happened over the past 2 weeks on our favorite all women's wrestling TV show. Of course, we have all kinds of action with the Beast going up against Penelope Pink to prove her ground once more as to why she should be the rightful Wild Women's Champion, as well as so many other things going on in the world of this amazing show. Like I said, this is Steph and Cat Talk Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the faith, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great.
Hey y'all, we are back live for Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, contributing writer for Daily DDT and color commentator, featured on the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. But of course, I am not alone. I am with my fabulous tag team partner. She is a backstage correspondent for We Are Wrestling and so many other amazing wrestling promotions in the New York area. She is a writer, she is an author, and of course, she's the creator of In Cat We Trust and the Women of Color in Wrestling panel, as well as a super mom because we are celebrating moms this weekend. She is Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
Hey, I am okay. A little tired, but I am all right. Happy to be here. Thank you for that fabulous intro. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm tired too. It's been, a trying week. There's a lot of stuff going on. Then plus down here, we're preparing and hunkering down for some storms. So we got so there's a lot going on, but either way, we're just trying to hang on to what we've got and just do the best we can. But I know life has been lifing lately, but because of that, we haven't been able to be as, active when it comes to the wild things, and we apologize for that, but life be lifing. But we are here to give you another double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow, where we talk about this amazing show that we love, featuring all these amazing superheroes with Wow. So I'm really excited to get into these two episodes because these episodes were really great. Even though we say that every week, but these episodes were really great and pretty solid. So Kat, how did you feel about these episodes before we go into both of them?
Oh, definitely solid stuff. There were some not much needed wins that happened. That's always it's like yay about time. Um, with some people, and some progression on some of the storylines, some of the things that are happening. So they were good episodes. Really solid.
Absolutely. And in the comments, we have Eric, who is always posted up in the WOW parking lot before we come on live. Thank you so much for posting up in YouTube land saying, hey, dude. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, for all of those who are watching us live on all of our platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and all the things, thank you, first of all. And second of all, please chime in the comments with any parts of these episodes that you really liked or really loved, or tell us who your favorite WoW superhero is, or who you think the next WoW world champion could be, outside of the Beast, or just tell us who you think it could be. And just chime in the comments and light up our chat so you can wind up on the screen with us. So yeah, these past two episodes have been amazing. But first, we are going to cover, of course, the last episode of WoW from the month of April, which was called Shattered Sisterhood. And you can only imagine what that entails. And we are definitely going to get into it right now. So, on two different fronts, you had sisterhoods being shattered. And this episode started with Jessie Jones knocking on the door of the Wild World champion Abilene Maverick. And she was saying, "All right, Maverick, I scratched your back when it comes to Miss America. So now it's time for you to scratch mine. Come on." And she yanked her out of her office slash dressing room or whatever you want to call it. And Abilene Maverick did not seem that excited about coming out to the ring. Like she really did not plan on coming out there. But they made their entrance in the WoW arena and basically, got up there and talked. Not really, they really didn't talk that much, actually. They didn't talk at all. And it went into the very first match, which was Jessie Jones and Abilene Maverick versus the All American girls, Santana Garrett and Americana. So this was their way of getting back into the swing of things and getting back at Jessie Jones for interfering in Americana's championship match with Abilene Maverick. They didn't take kindly to that. So basically, this was like their way of getting back at them. And Abilene turned out to be the secret partner, as you saw on that first picture, where it didn't have a picture of who a partner could be. And this was interesting considering it seemed like her and Amber O'Neal seemed to be very, gung ho to be back together, but then she disappears again, and now she has to, do the bidding of the Wild World Champion. And I actually did predict that Abilene would be her mystery partner, and it turned out to actually happen. So, I love it when I get predictions right like that. It just makes me happy, like on a very personal level. Like, yes, I got it right. So that was just really cool. So Jessie did cut a promo actually, looking at my notes. She said, "Well, look what I found, David. I done got me a partner, and she happens to be the best wrestler in this company next to myself. And David, I don't want to hear anything after this match. You are going to be personally responsible for what for what I and Abilene do to Santana and Americana." And so this match, got started with Americana and Abilene starting to fight, of course, which was like a continuation of their championship match. And Americana got distracted by Jessie Jones, who was smack talking her, and Abilene took advantage of that, which is something that we know her to do, very well. She's very opportunistic. And Americana was actually able to duck a couple of clotheslines and break out of a schoolboy roll up, for her for a couple of two counts. Americana was able to hit a series of drop kicks to Abilene Maverick, and she tagged in Santana, who then kicked Abilene down for a two count. And it seemed like Abilene was really doing the lion's share of the work in this match. Not really Amber. Jessie Jones really didn't do a whole lot. And even with, the camaraderie that we know of from the All American girls and their tag team chemistry, it just seemed like Abilene was really doing a lot of stuff that she really just did not want to do in this match. And it was just really crazy to see, but hey, that's just how it went. Because usually Abilene just sort of takes the easy way out, but she really did have to pull her weight here. But she did it well, but it was just really insane and kind of one-sided. But either way, when it looked like the All-American girls could have gotten the upper hand, the referee Ben got distracted by Jessie Jones, who then kicked Santana in the face, and then Abilene Maverick covered Americana with her feet on the ropes for the 1-2-3. But I got upset at this part because as Abilene Maverick covered her with her feet on the ropes, it seemed like Ben was looking straight in the direction of which the shenanigans were happening and didn't even call the match off or didn't even tell Abilene to take her feet off the ropes. And this frustrated me because I'm just like, bro, it was right in your line of vision. What are you doing? I was just really upset. Like you would have thought I was an NFL fan yelling at a referee over a bad call. And honestly, that was a bad call. So I'm gonna need for the referee Ben to actually get his life together and actually have more of a sharper vision on his competitors and on his athletes in the ring, because there's no reason as to why he should have missed Abilene's feet on the ropes. So yeah, that happened. And Jessie and Abilene won this match and they celebrated like everything was cool. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and all of the shenanigans that were afoot when it came to Jessie and Abilene? And how did you feel about Abilene actually doing the bulk of the work here?
I'm not surprised. I feel like while Jessie did get, you know, a partner, it was more so to do it because she needed to do it. Like she needed to have one, and it couldn't be her normal partnership. And so, of course, make Abilene do the work. It makes sense. Jesse's not really here for Abilene necessarily. It was all a little bit of like semi blackmailish, of how they became a tag team in the first place for this match. And so it made sense that I didn't think she would. I didn't think it would be this less work, but I'm not surprised that she did it. Honestly, this kind of falls right in line with Jesse and what Jesse normally does. With regard to if it doesn't help her in any capacity, it's not necessary. And so, I wasn't surprised by it. And her just kind of being there and letting Abilene, that's kind of to an extent, I'm like, that's kind of what you get Abilene, because of all the times you do shenanigans and kind of get out of the way of stuff, this was the perfect time for you to kind of work on a match that could have very well been directly 2-on-1 if Santana and Americana wanted to be those type of tag teams. They could have easily just went, oh, let's try to gang up on you. They really didn't do that, like they made it quite easy for her. As far as the ref, there's like there's not enough like words when the referee is that ridiculous. And it's like, do you want to be like, do you need to like look at the footage again? Do you need some glasses? What's happening? Like, why are you not seeing this? There's no way you should have missed that. And so she gets another win again, you know, based off nonsense, based off stuff not being that it should have been that way. And it makes you kind of mad because this feels like there's always a problem with the refs apparently as well. Not that other refs don't do this, but I feel like wow, it's just really be all dropping the ball with stuff that be going on. And I'm like, are we not watching the same thing? You were in the ring. Like you should be better in tune than the rest of us, and you're not paying attention. And so that's, a bit like agitating, a bit annoying. But otherwise, I mean, it wasn't a bad open. I just was like slightly annoyed because I'm just like, how can she keeps even with things kind of not really going her way? How is she still able to basically get a free win? It was like a free win. Like it's like, how is it just always seem to be okay with her? And that's annoying. But here we are.
Yeah, it really is annoying because it's just like, ma'am, like, and ref, like, how is it that you are not seeing all this crazy stuff? Like, I just never felt so upset. Like, I've been upset before, but when I tell you, like, I outwardly like just yelled out loud of how upset I was like, excuse me, like, what the heck are you doing? It was loud, but either way, I was just like, this is dumb. And I can't help but feel like this is an ungodly union that isn't going to stop, because with all the craziness that Jessie Jones has been doing to sort of get under the skin of Americana, who's to say that Abilene won't, cash in another favor with her and then try to like mess up the other person's opportunity if they ever try to come after the Wild World title again? That is something that I'm low key afraid of. That is, of course, if they continue it. Now they could just not continue it and pretend like each other just don't exist anymore, because I never thought I would ever see these two in a partnership, but I don't know. But either way, it just kind of, sucks the way that it happened. And poor Americana, she thought she had this opportunity in the bag and that she was going to show, her best self, whether she won or not, only to have it stolen from her from someone who she fought for like a close to 2 months almost. So it's just like, I know she has to feel really like defeated from that. So it's just really like unfortunate on all um accounts. But we definitely need to get the referees together and just, have a come to Jesus meeting and let them know, like, hey, y'all really need to get on the ball with this stuff and stop people, from cheating, and stop, people from interfering and all of the above. And don't just, get on the case of the good guy, like get on the case of the bad guys too. And we'll get more into referee action a little bit later in this episode, because there was more stuff that I caught that got on my nerves. But we move on, and of course they recapped the saga going on with Siren the Voodoo Doll and her return and her anger at Holidead for leaving their coven, which led into the second match, which was Chainsaw and Siren the Voodoo Doll with Angelica Dante versus Chantilly Chella and Holidead with Foxy Fierce in their corner. And this was a really solid match, and it was very powerful, and it was good to see Siren the Voodoo Doll in the ring again, because of course it had been a minute since we'd seen her, because she wasn't in the first half of season 2. But like the other girls were, but it was really good to see her. The match popped off before the bell even rang, first of all, with Holiday lifting Chantilly Chella up and assisting her sort of like in a kick to sort of get the upper hand on Chainsaw. And I was like, haha, that's funny. I liked it. And then, of course, the bell finally rang, and then they hit a and then Chantilly hit a tilt-a-whirl splash that Holiday also assisted her with and everything. And I feel like for a team that we've never seen team together before, I really love the chemistry that Chantilly and Holiday had. It was almost like they were using their opposites in order to create more opportunity to get the upper hand on the other team, because of course the other team has power and technical prowess on their side, but then you have Chantilly, who is a kickboxing expert and also a really agile and quick competitor, with Holiday, who is just power personified. And I really like that being on display with the both of them. It was a really good back and forth between them, and there was one point where it low-key looked like they were Siren and Chainsaw were getting the upper hand on them, but finally Chantilly was able to drop kick Chainsaw, and then Holiday hit her Darkness Falls onto Siren the Voodoo Doll in order to win. So Holiday and Chantilly Chella won this match because of course they came in hot and did not give up on each other throughout, but they were not able to celebrate this win because Chainsaw attacked them both with a double clothesline. But as they got attacked with a double clothesline and Foxy tried to come in and help, and she also got attacked again by Chainsaw, her sister, Roxy Fierce, decides to come in from the audience, interfere, and start fighting on behalf of her sister. And this was amazing for me because I did not expect her sister to hop in there and start fighting on Foxy's behalf. I was like, "Excuse me? You can fight too?" What? I was just so excited. And I was like really gagged from that. I just could not I the wigs were snatched. Okay, I was just really thrilled with that level of help. And so with that help, happening, and with Chantilly and Foxy celebrating with Holiday, they were still trying to get her to dance, but she was not in the mood for it. But Roxy danced with them anyway, and it was just really cool and fun. So that was just a really action packed match, but the way that it ended was victorious, and it was just a huge surprise because I just did not know that Foxy's sister was just gonna hop in like that. I was like, wait, are they gonna let her do it? And they did it, so it was cool. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match and what happened afterward?
I think it was a good match. It was nice to see Chantilly and how that even worked like that, considering, you think of Holiday from the beginning when we first saw her and how she was, she caused, you know, pain possibly. She was more on the darker side, maybe more of the heelish side, and she's really changed her tune in the last few weeks, or last few months rather, as far as how she want to do things. And so to have her, somebody who's supposed to be dark and you know more spooky on the spookier side, and you have somebody like Chantilly who's like super peppy, bubbly, energetic, it's like two very different things happening on the ring. With that being said, I do think that they worked really well together. I thought even her using her in the beginning of the match was like really top tier stuff. I was like, all right, I'm good with this win. It was nice to see Siren the Voodoo Doll again. We haven't seen her a little bit wrestling, and that was nice. But I do think if you're trying to turn all Holodead over like a new leaf per se, then yeah, I think this was the right call with the win. Um, as far as Foxy's sister, yeah, I wouldn't have thought, honestly. I was like, okay, I'm all for coming in for the siblings. That's how I am as the sister, and so I get it. Like, excuse me, like we're not doing this, and so I understood that. I definitely understood that from a sister perspective of like, let's do this to me vibes. Like let's try that with me. You're not gonna do that to me, like that kind of thing. And so I respected Roxy coming in and like even her kind of joining and advancing. I don't know if that means we're gonna see her more. I wouldn't mind it, seeing her more there, but it was a very pleasant surprise, and I thought it was cool. And again, Foxy just always looks great. Just had to put that in there.
Absolutely. Like the way Roxy was acting reminded me of my sister. And honestly, it's almost, I feel like me and my mom and my sister have had this joke for years where we always felt like it would have been funny if me and my sister were the same age and went to high school together. Because shout out to Jackie. She's my youngest sister. She's younger than me by 8 years. But the thing is, she is really like tough, even though she's really sweet. On the inside, she's very tough. So it's like whenever anybody messes with her in any way, shape, or form, she's ready to go in terms of conflict. Like she will fight you, and it's just, and I'm literally the opposite, where I just do not want to fight. Like I will verbally get into it with you if you take me there, but I am not a physical fighter. Whereas, but I have felt angry enough to do it. Whereas my sister kind of just goes from 0 to 100, and she will fight you. She doesn't care. And the way that Roxy stepped in for Foxy is the way my sister would step in for me. I really feel that if the chips were down and if she and I went to high school together and if anybody was messing with me and if I told her about it, she'd be like, bet. And, and she would meet them and beat them up and call it a day and not care anything about it. And those are the type of people you want, in your corner. And I love that Foxy had that, ram in the bush, even while the other two were still dealing with, Chainsaw and Siren in that way. Like, cause that was like, I just really liked that. Like, that was just really cool. I just love it. And I would love it if we did see her more, because I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Foxy this season. And if we did see her and her sister like as a tag team, maybe that would be amazing. And that would be another creative way for her to be on television a little bit more. Even though a part of me selfishly wants to see her go on this singles run, if she had a tag team with her sister, I'd be here for it. So it would be really cool for that. And I really think that Holiday really just needs to let the happiness flow through her so she can just dance or whatever. But I just love the chemistry that Holiday and Chantilly had. Like it was just really good from start to finish. And yeah, for all we know, Holiday could be, having a little bit of dark side, but then also having a little bit of a light side too. Maybe she could go to a music festival or go to Bonnaroo or something and then just, dance or twerk or something. Like who knows? Um but yeah, that match was pretty cool. So Holiday and Chantilly Chella got the win. And big ups to Foxy and Roxy. And hopefully we'll see them together more on WoW. So after this, they showed a recap of the saga going on with the ending of the Sisterhood of Princess Aussie and Krush. And hilariously enough, after I shared a clip of us talking about Krush and everything that she had to say to Princess Aussie to lead up to this match, Princess Aussie had a lot to say on Instagram and on Twitter about how the narrative was being spun on WoW, where it seemed as if Krush was being made to look like the one who was, helping her out, and she was made to look like the selfish one. And she didn't take too kindly to that at all. And I'm really glad that she actually took the time to actually say more of how she was feeling, because when I watched it back myself, I was just kind of like, oh wow, I kind of see what she was talking about. And I was, because in a sense, they were making it seem like Princess Aussie was just the friend who used her as a leg up and then didn't have time for her no more, as opposed to, looking at it from her side as well. So it was interesting to see how that played out. And I would have thought that this match could have been the main event, but another match was, but I'm not too mad about it. But this all, of course, led to the next match, which was Princess Aussie versus Krush. And Krush came out there with her top tier friends, Gloria Glitter, Coach Campanelli, and the new water girl, Ariel Sky. And Princess Aussie came out there alone because, of course, she is, a woman who can stand on her own 2 feet and come out there on her own and fight her own battles. This was my favorite match of this whole episode because number one, it was very hard hitting, and number two, it was very technically sound, and number three, it was spiteful. And I tend to enjoy women's wrestling matches that are really, just great and technically sound, but also incredibly spiteful. Like watching this match, it gave me early Mercedes Moné / Sasha Banks Charlotte vibes. And it's just like the way that those women fought each other early on the main roster over the Raw Women's Championship, like on Raw and all those pay-per-views, like those are the vibes that it gave me. And they were really just trying to tear each other up. Like Princess Aussie, was trying to be nice about it, but then Krush just kept getting in her face, mushing her in the face, pointing in her face, talking trash at her, and they were just destroying each other. They were destroying each other. And Krush was slapping her and just trying to stomp on her back and choke her out. And Princess Aussie was just fighting out, with her technical prowess. Like, this is probably one of the best matches I've seen on this iteration of WoW. Of course, WoW's been on for a long time, so I'm more than sure there's other ones. But this one was really like top tier. Not to, I wasn't trying to make a pun, I promise. But it was really amazing, and it was very spiteful. But the thing that ruined it for me was the outside interference of Top Tier and Ariel Sky, who used the water bottle to squirt in Krush's eyes after she hit her cutter from down under and she was preparing to climb up the top rope. She squirted it in her eyes, and then Krush took advantage of it and hit her lights out suplex in order to win the match. And that disappointed my soul. I was just like, girl, you was talking all that trash about how you were better than Krush and how you were the reason why Krush was so successful. And all you did was beat up on her, rightfully so, in that match in combat, but then you used your friends and the water girl who shouldn't be there. But that's another conversation. But I was just really frustrated with the way that ended, and I feel like they need to have a rematch immediately. Immediately. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the way that it ended?
Yeah. First, I think you was meaning to say that towards Crush rather than Princess Aussie. The way you ended it was like you said that about Crush. So I think it was vice versa. You were meaning Princess Aussie, right? Like when you
Like,
said all that to Crush, and I think you meant to say you said all that to Princess Aussie about being better.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
Crush
Okay.
said all that to Princess Aussie. I'm sorry if I mixed that up. Yes,
No, you're
Crush
good. You're
was
good.
talking all that stuff about Princess Aussie. I'm sorry. But yeah,
I,
that's what I
yeah.
meant.
No, I do think this was probably one of the better matches probably between, and I this is not even to like throw shade in any of the other matches that both ladies have had because they've had good matches, but I think because this beef feels more personal than other some of the other feuds that's been going on. I do think that this, because you can kind of see that in the match. You can see that it was a more personal thing. It meant more to, Princess Aussie. It meant more to Crush. With that being said, I do think that as soon as you have a bunch of people come out with you, you're probably going to use them because otherwise, why would they need to be there? Most people, even if they have a squad, the squad is not necessarily outside in the ring. Every time a squad comes to the ring, it's because they're going to interfere. Because you can be, if you need to come out in from the back, if something goes down, that's one thing. But for you to just be there waiting, it's like, no, you probably was going to do some shenanigans anyway. And now here we are. You clearly was going to do some shenanigans anyway. And so it is unfortunate it ended that way. I do agree. I do think that they probably need to rematch this, but I do think if David would be inclined, would be to make it where top tier cannot be there. Let Crush do this on her own. And I feel like that shouldn't be too difficult for him to like agree to, just because the fact that you do know they've been were friends first. You do know that they had this like even like last season and then coming into this season. Like you knew this. And so like you have this thing happening with them, and then you're just like, whatever. Um, it's okay to have their members and Ariel Sky. Like, I get why, but also no. I kind of was just like, now, girl, like they didn't do all this beating you up or beating your people up. I didn't particularly like that either. But I do think they do need to have a rematch, and hopefully it can be an actual match where it's not just a bunch of like grudgy. I don't want to call it a grudge match. I felt like that was more Krush being just very overly aggressive, but then having the girls of top tier like assist in that. But it was a good match. I do think that both ladies, tried hard. It's just in the regards, it's like both of them are pretty evenly matched. But then Crush had a bit of a little extra boost because she had the three other ladies out there while she was fighting Princess Aussie, and Aussie kind of was standing alone in all of this. But it was a great match.
Then on top of that, you also have the added bonus, I guess, for the both of them because they know each other so well. Because of course they trained together, which is something that they showed in that clip, was them training together in the beginning when Princess Aussie was sort of losing her confidence a little. And for me, also outside of it, it was really interesting to watch Crush, rise up, in her wrestling career to this point, because she's reaching almost 2 years in the business, go up against Princess Aussie, who's been wrestling for like ever. And to see that juxtaposition in that match, like Crush did an excellent job rising to the occasion of that. And I almost felt like her cheating was just kind of like, ma'am, you don't even need to do it because you're literally doing a good job. Like, stop. Like, chill. But it was just really frustrating to see. And I hate how their friendship has just broken down at this point, because it's you just hate to see it, because you hate to see women fighting each other over stuff that's petty. And honestly, it's just like, why does it matter? Because you both loved each other once upon a time. Find that love again. Like, just stop fighting. Like, just stop it. Like, it's just not worth it. But to Crush, it is worth it. And honestly, because of all of this, she has now flipped her personality upside down, and now she's just angry and out, just outwardly aggressive, and it's just frustrating. So this is where we're at with Crush, and she won this match, but I definitely feel like it's not over. Like, and it being a grudge match, whether it's a grudge match or whatever, rubber match or whatever, like, it's just not over. But here again, I'm gonna need for Ariel Sky.
Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
I'm going to need for Ariel to stand up. Okay? Stand up, Ariel. Stop it. Stop being something that you're not. Like, it's frustrating. But, okay. Moving from that match to the main event, we have Penelope Pink coming out with the fabulous Lana Starr and Vicky Lynn McCoy versus The Beast. And in this match, you have two former WoW World Champions going up against each other. But of course, when Penelope Pink comes out there, you're essentially fighting three people or four other people. But either way, I found it very interesting that the Carlson sisters weren't out there with them this time. I thought that was really interesting, considering how their last tag team title match went with the Mother Truckers, and how Penelope and Vicky Lynn essentially ruined that chance for them. But yeah, we gonna leave that part alone. This match was really good. Penelope Pink, as much as she and I have had our differences in the past, performed really well in this match outside of the outside shenanigans. And of course, the Beast is out here trying to prove point after point after point after point. But before this match even got started, Lana cut a promo saying that it seems like everyone wants to keep talking about the Beast and Abilene Maverick, and the focus in WoW has been taken away from where it belongs, on me and the Fab Four and Penelope Pink. I just want you all to remember, the greatest wrestler in the history of WoW, besides myself, is Penelope Pink. She is the true WoW World Champion. She has never been pinned. The woman deserves a literal standing ovation. And Penelope said, of course, thank you, Lana. Tonight, the Beast, you may be on the top of the food chain, but you're in the ring with the best damn thing WoW has ever seen. So start cracking. So the match started with a lockup, and then the Beast, of course, threw Penelope Pink back into the corner. But then Pink just kept raking the eyes. She was being very cagey throughout this match to get the upper hand on the Beast, and that wasn't the last time that she raked her eyes to get the upper hand. She was punching down on her multiple times, but of course the Beast used her power to tackle her and pounce her in the ring, which was really gave me Willow Nightingale vibes when she pounced her across the ring. And then she was giving her shoulder thrusts into the corner. The Beast was suplexing Penelope Pink multiple times. And then to make matters even crazier, every time the Beast tried to get the upper hand on her, Vicky Lynn and Lana kept trying to interfere, trip her up and beat up on her outside of the ring while the ref wasn't looking, and Penelope had him distracted. But it just didn't work. And for every move that they were hitting on each other, they just kept kicking out over and over again. And Penelope is just such a great athlete, to the point to where it was almost like if you felt that the Beast was just going to run through her, that was not the case. And Penelope was out here to prove that that wasn't the case, because she really is that girl, which kind of hurts to say, but she is that girl in the ring. And she gave, and even in that picture right there, like, she gave sort of like a wizard, like a shining wizard, to the Beast's face, but the Beast still kicked out. And then the Beast was able to actually climb the top rope and give a Beast bomb to Penelope Pink in order to win the match. And hilariously enough, Lana and Vicky tried to reach in and stop the count, but it didn't work, and the Beast won the match. And she was looking pretty dominant in her quest to get back the title that she never lost. So that was how that episode ended. The Beast was just looking real dominant here and ready to go after Abilene more and more. So Katrina, how did you feel about this main event and the way that it went?
Oh, it was a good main event. I don't know what Lana was talking about. Her being the best wrestler, like, say Penelope outside of her, like, ma'am. Well, I know you are a bit of an OG and you've been there for a long time. If we're basing it off of the most recent level of you being with Penelope Pink, you were not wrestling, sis. I feel like you need to stop attaching that part of your career with Penelope Pink, because the time Penelope Pink joined you, you were not wrestling. And so it's just like, it's a weird thing to say, to say that, because I'm like, you're not really wrestling. With that being said, as my issue, I never really had the issue that you have had with Penelope Pink. And so I've always have said, well, she has engaged in shenanigans, because she has. I always have, you can admire a person who can wrestle well, and she can. And so, she did what she could, but the Beast is on a mission. She's been on one, and since coming back and trying to get a title, it was a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of nonsense. And so, of course, I feel like she was being more aggressive because of that. Like, you lost the title that you technically didn't lose the right way. You lost it from injury. You didn't, like, lose it because you lost a match. And then you get finally back to the picture of, all right, I'm in a match. Like, nope, let's make this a match with 4 people instead. And now it's the 4th person who you haven't wrestled previously who wins it. I can understand why she's a little bit aggressive. I can understand why she's a little bit upset. I would be upset too. And so, hopefully, again, she can get the chance to have a match with her where it's no nonsense. None of the Abilene pretending to be hurt, nothing popping up in the middle of the ring, no things with the referees or people not catching things, where she can actually have a match and win it rightfully, because I believe she will. If she has the match the way she's supposed to have the match, I do believe the Beast will win it. And so, like, I'm just counting down the days until Abilene's reign will end. But, that's just me being extra.
You actually raise an excellent point that I don't think we really have ever addressed since we've been covering this iteration of WoW. Is that Lana, the fabulous Lana Star, really does attach the successes of the Fab Four with her own success. And even on commentary, I've even heard David and the other, commentary partners talk about how Lana wants to, like, add these championships to her mantle as if she's the one that's accomplishing it. And that's very problematic. that is very problematic, how someone who once upon a time was a WoW legend, never taking that away from her, and was, you know, a WoW world champion, can sort of take these women under her wing, and then just all of a sudden just think that she can just take credit for all of their success. That is definitely a problem. And I'm wondering if the cracks are starting to show in the Fab Four, so much so to the point to if they'll ever address that, because it's like you said, Penelope Pink came up during an era of WoW where of course she's not active, so her success isn't your success. Though she is your protege, she isn't you. It's kind of like where I've heard different people say, like, if you have a child, it's like that child is separate of you, even though you're responsible for the child being born. That child is still very much their own independent person. That's what this is. Like, Lana, you may be responsible for exposing us to who Penelope Pink and who these other girls are in terms of the Carlson twins and Vicky Lynn McCoy, but they are their own women, and they have their own successes. Now they are choosing to be affiliated with you, but you cannot take credit for their success. That's not fair to them and the work that they actually do. Now, mind you, she might help them because she's, you know, a manager and it pays to have a manager in WoW like that, but she shouldn't be taking credit for their success. And I'm actually glad that you brought that up, Kat. Then on top of that, it's just the Beast, with Lana talking about how all the attention, you know, she feels like all the attention should be on the Fab Four. It's so funny because it felt like last season that's really what it was. It really was all about them. And now that it's not all about them, and now that they don't have all the gold anymore, and the ante has been upped in terms of the amount of women that are there, you know, and gaining the titles, even though we have our feelings about Abilene Maverick and stuff. It's like they can't stand that it's not all about them anymore. And it's crazy how they're sort of unraveling in that way. But hey, that's just how it goes. And the Beast is out here to try to get the title back that she never lost. And it's so funny how it's full circle with this match happening, because the Fab Four is the reason why the Beast had to give up the title in the first place. So, yeah, it's interesting how stuff like that happens. But I am glad that the Beast won and that she is definitely on a bigger quest for her to go after the title. But I'm gonna need for her and this title match with Abilene Maverick to happen expeditiously, like right now, because I'm tired of watching Abilene Maverick sort of pose and prep with the title like she's just out here being a fighting champion and all of the above. It's just like, ma'am, no, just no. Like, I'm just really tired of it, and I just want the Beast to just get back what's hers, and I don't want any more shenanigans attached to it. I want Abilene to be her own woman. I don't want her to use any ungodly tactics to try to, you know, win or cheat or whatever. I just want a fair match with the Beast. That's all I want. So that was the end of that episode. Of course, with all the sisterhoods falling apart. And we move to the next episode from this past weekend, which was the Battle for Supremacy episode, which came on the first weekend of May, because yes, we are in the month of May, y'all. It's crazy how fast this year is going. Like, literally, Mother's Day is Sunday. Oh my god. Shout out to all the moms. If I haven't said that before, all of y'all are amazing. We love you, we appreciate you, you build up the planet, and yeah. You guys build up the planet and you fill us with love and with encouragement. And of course, happy Mother's Day to Katrina, because she is a mama and she's a great mama.
You're really
So,
sweet. Thanks.
huh?
So you're really sweet. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. She is a mother, and we love all mothers here. And also all the mothers on WoW. We love them as well. So, yeah, mothers make the world go round and they make our hearts swell. And also mothers who step in too. So we have that going on for ourselves this weekend. So this episode started with IQ Superior coming out. Of course, that's the class master, Samantha Smart, and the disciplinarian who we hadn't seen in a minute. And the class master got into it with a child as she was making her entrance, yelling at her about reading a book. And I didn't know whether to be worried for this child or not because this child was yelling at her, I don't like to read. And I was just like, no. But it was just really funny. But I guess she was just yelling that at her just to, grind the gears of the class master. I hope that child does read. But anyway, Samantha Smart was basically, cutting a promo saying to the fans to shut up and listen while she's talking. She said, I want the mother truckers. If that Holly Fleabag wouldn't have cheated, we would have the tag team belts right now. You see, I brought the best team to WoW that the world has ever seen. And Dumb and Dumber, oh, I'm sorry, I mean the Tonga twins, well, they've had way too many opportunities. So right now, I'm taking matters into my own hands. David McLean, I demand a match with those coconut brain buffoons. This was horrible. It is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I do not condone this. I didn't like it. And I was like, no, you will not call them coconut brain buffoons. I hate that. We're not doing that, Samantha Smart. I will get to fighting with you about it right now. So just wanted to say that. And so as she's insulting them and demanding a match with the Tonga twins and Tiki Chamorro, they come out and Samantha was like, oh, Tiki, did you run out of coconut juice? And I was like, here again, hate it. And then Tiki snatched the microphone out of her hand and said, okay, smarty pants, you want to get to the mother truckers and you'll have to get to the Island Dynasty first. But on one condition, you have to step in the ring. And it looked as if Samantha Smart was talking real cocky and saying that she agreed to it. And then Chaos and the Classmaster got into a shouting match with each other. So the main event was set. And it was going to be the Island Dynasty versus IQ Superior. So before we move into the next match, Katrina, how did you feel about what Samantha Smart had to say about the Island Dynasty?
It was
In our
unnecessary.
year in our year 2024. Yes.
Yeah, it was unnecessary. I feel like that's not that it. It's one of those read rooms type situations. Read room, they do this in May as if it wasn't basically when this aired. What this was a few days in May, and you're already on the shenanigans. I feel like just read the room. It wasn't necessary. There are ways to like make comments about things or without it being that. I feel like if you guys, if you're gonna insult somebody, a good person who know how to insult anybody who has siblings, you gotta talk a lot of shit because I definitely talk shit to my siblings, and we do that. But you gotta know how to make an insult without making those kind of insults. And I feel like there's just a way if you're gonna do that. It probably didn't need it to be said. So just read the room. That's like read the room.
Yeah, you do have to read the room. And I understand that these episodes are taped far in advance. So I will give, them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. But at the same time, it did not feel right, considering when you think of, even though of course we personally can't speak to it because of course we are not of that community, but we are of a community of people of color. And hearing about the stereotypes that have been attached to Asian American and Pacific Islander people in wrestling, it just wasn't the best thing for you to it wasn't the best thing for to have a person to say on wrestling television now, because clearly they have made advances and they have shown that they are more than those ugly stereotypes. So I really feel that if you're going to insult somebody, there is a more intelligent way and a more thoughtful way of doing it without bringing up coconuts and without bringing up, grass skirts and so many other different, stereotypes about that. So that was really ratchet, and I'm really going to need for them to creatively figure something else out for these people to say if they're going to insult them on television. Like insult them, but don't make it so degrading that you sound like you belong in the 1980s, because that's something that you probably would have heard like way back in the day and not now, because clearly we have advanced as a society. No matter how many people try to drag us backwards, we're going forward, and that just was not a forward moving thing for a person to say. Now, moving away from that, we start with match number one. Um, with the Brat Pack, of course, that's Gigi Gianni, BK Rhythm, and Lil J Boogie, versus the Mighty Mites and Steffi Slays. This was sort of almost a rematch from sort of like the trios tournament where we saw all six of these women fight with each other, and it was really interesting to see this yet again. And it was also really interesting to see towards the end of the match, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And of course, we have to make room on the show for BK's bars. The Katrina's least favorite part, but we got to do it because it's real. So after everyone made their entrances, BK Rhythm said, "Okay, big deal. Last time y'all won. We're still the best. We're still number one. Hey, now y'all running with the WoW OG. Hey guys, they picked Steffi though. This is gonna be easy." Now, I appreciate the rhyming, but there's another part of BK's bars that I appreciate. Katrina, since we've been covering this show, have we ever heard anyone refer to any other person as a WoW OG?
No.
Isn't that something that we call the OGs on here?
Well, yeah, them, but
Okay, I'm just saying. In my heart of hearts, I really feel like they took that and added that, and she added it into the rap because BK has said that she does listen to us. So I really feel like she put that in there and she's been listening to us. And I don't know. Even though they might not really say it, I really feel like she was listening to us and she put that in her rap. Because the minute she said it, I was like, wait a minute. I've never heard them say WoW OG on this show since I've started watching it. Never. I've never heard it. So the idea of her using that in her rap just made me excited. I was like, oh snap. Like maybe like I don't I've never heard anybody else say it. So the fact that she did this time was just like, oh. But yeah, I just thought that was really amazing. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to the Wild Superheroes who do listen to our show and do support us. It's really amazing that you guys do that. And if BK, if you're hearing this or if you're watching this right now, and if you did insert that because you hear us calling Steffi Slays and the others WoW OGs, then that's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that. But if not, then it's okay. And it's no hard feelings. But this match was great. This match was really great in the sense that you saw Steffi Slays um, have this chemistry with the Mighty Mice that she had in the trios tournament. Like, even though BK and Gigi Gianni were definitely isolating Spice throughout the match and also, beating up on Steffi Slays, for a good portion of it, the chemistry that Steffi Slays and the Mighty Mice had throughout this match was just on fire. And I just love watching them together as a team. Like, they were really killing it with each other. Like, they really were. And for every hot tag they made, it was almost like they were utilizing their quickness to gain the upper hand on Gigi and BK. And it was just really good. And I just really enjoyed it. And I was just like, yes, ladies, yes. And there was even one point where Gigi was getting frustrated because she would hit a number of her hard hitting moves onto Sugar or Spice, and she thought that would have been the end. And then she was just like, bro, are you kidding me? And she got really upset. But it was just a really great back and forth match. But speaking of teams falling apart and cracks showing, there was a point where Steffi Slays came in really hot and started hitting axe handles to BK, and then BK wound up tagging little J Boogie in, and J Boogie was looking like she did not want to get in on any of the action at all, and Steffi took advantage and hit a schoolboy roll-up pin and got the win. So Steffi Slays, the WoW OG, finally got a win in tag team action, but she got a win on television with Sugar and Spice, and Lil J Boogie was looking very distraught from it, and BK and Gigi was looking like they were blaming her solely for that loss. But after that point, David McClain came in and interviewed, with the Mighty Mites and Steffi Slays. And they were just talking about how happy they were to team with each other and just how honored they were to be with each other, and how they can't wait to add more flavor to, the WoW fans' lives and add more positivity and everything. So it was just a really good opening match. It was great. So Katrina, how did you feel about the match, and how do you feel about the possible crack showing in the Brat Pack?
Well, realistically, I didn't think J Boogie belonged with them. I felt like,
She did it.
she was too nice anyway. I felt like she was being a good team player. Like they added her, and she every time she was around, that she did her. She was a good team player. She did what she had to do as being part of the team. But I never thought she belonged with them. I never thought. I thought they were like two mean girls, and they just added the one nice girl. And it's like, oh, we kind of similar. You kind of got little moves, and I rap. Let's bring you on in, and that was where the similarity ended. Maybe a music similarity. That's where it ended. And so I don't think she belonged with them anyway. And so I'm surprised it took this long to show some cracks. I thought it would have been a lot sooner. To be fair, I thought it would have been when they first teamed up. The next time I was like, oh, they're not gonna do it again, because it didn't fit to me. With that being said, it was really good for Steffi, because we've been saying for so long that Girly has been on, from when we first started watching this version of it, and like just seems like a really sweet person. I know, like, you extra for you because her name is Steffi and everything, but like Girly was just losing like left and right, and so it was really nice that not only did she got to kind of expand on the chemistry she had with the Mighty Mites, but the fact that she actually was the one to get the win. I think that was a nice little yay for her. I was like, all right, Steffi, okay, this is good stuff. About time, because like for the, I was like, all right. I know everybody's gonna lose sometimes, but every time you gotta lose. Like, it's one of those type of situations. Like, you didn't need to lose every time. You didn't need to do that. You didn't prove any points that way. And so it was really nice that she got to win. I was very happy for her. If I feel like if she did get that from it being called on our show, well, just let us know. Just get a tweet. Just curiously, because now, like, I have my issues with BK's bars, and so usually I'm just not, on it, because I just can't. But sure, she's a nice person. I can't do the bars. I can't do the bars. I'm sorry, BK. I can't do the bars. But if you are seeing any of that, I mean, I would be probably, this would be what's the way to like just kill any curiosity about where it came from. Like, just let it be known if that's where, and if so, super kudos for that. It's super awesome. Thanks. But yeah, I'm very happy for Seffi. I think this is something that was well needed, because Girly has been taking it. Poor girl. Like, she's had it tough the last few months, where it's just losing. And I think this might have gave her a little bit more breathing into her, what's happening and while with her. And I think it's a good thing. So hopefully that continues, and we get more her winning, and even more. I'm okay with them being together right now. I think they do. I think she does go well, and again, she is, an OG. And so, like, one of the OGs, because I know you call Keita Rush that as well. Um, you know, she can probably show them some stuff as well, as they're just kind of coming in. And so I feel like that this can be a really good relationship if it's done right. So hopefully more good things for Miss Steffi Slice, but a good match.
Yeah, and then with how well they operate as a trios team, for all we know, they could challenge top tier. Because as it stands now, outside of Team Spirit, I am really seeing, that many people want to step up to top tier and challenge him for that trios title, that they keep carrying around so proudly. And if, Steffi Slays and the Mighty Mice do decide to, come up to them like that, then I would be thrilled about that, because they just operate so well together. They move incredibly quick in the ring together. Like, it was just really good. It's like a match made in heaven when it comes to the Mighty Mites and Steffi Slays. And it was just really great to see her, get a win and get the upper hand in this, aspect. So maybe this can be, a good new leaf for her. And you're right. Lil J Boogie does not belong in the Brat Pack. She just doesn't. And we said that from jump. Like, she did not belong with them. So hopefully this could be the start of her finding her own groove. No pun intended. Oh my gosh, I'm full of puns. Um, like she could just find her own lane to stay in and just, figure out what she actually wants, because her being badly influenced by Gigi and BK is only going to lead her to more disaster, and they're only going to throw her under the bus because she's so nice. And if it's one thing that I know is that when you are really nice to people, people think that they can either use you for their own benefit or just, toss you aside, when they feel like it's necessary or whatever. And then they underestimate you because they think, oh, well, she doesn't have any friends. So let's just, come back here and da 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 da. No, that's not the case. So yeah. I hope Lil J Boogie just, gets wise to how they're operating and then just go on her own. So yeah, it's crazy stuff. So after that, we had Genesis make her entrance and be on guest commentary for this next match, which was Exodus versus Ice Cold, which surprised me because I said on Instagram when Exodus and Ice Cold posed in a picture together with them fighting, I was just like, honestly, I feel like they should both just jump Genesis because she's really the reason why Exile is falling apart so much. To me. Now, you might have a different thought, Katrina, but to me, I really feel like it's not all Genesis's fault, but I really feel like Genesis is a huge part of it because she just wants to be on her own so bad. So I'm just wondering, like, with you wanting to be on your own so bad, why are you making them fight for your approval? Like, what the heck is going on? Leave them alone. But this match is happening. And Exodus and Ice Cold had a pretty good opening, and they sort of had a battle of balance with each other in terms of out strengthening each other, which is one of my favorite things to see in a match. And then, of course, you had Exodus with her MMA background trying to sort of submit Ice Cold in the beginning. But Ice Cold, was out here really proving that she could maneuver out of those moves and just showing how sharp her wrestling skills have definitely gotten over this time that she's been on WoW. And even on commentary, Genesis was saying there was levels of competitiveness that she wasn't seeing out of them when they were with her that she was seeing in this match. And I was like, well, maybe they weren't able to show it to you because you were micromanaging them to hell. But anyway, this match really, right when it was starting to get really good, Exodus started using Genesis's move set to get the upper hand on Ice Cold, and Genesis didn't take too kindly to that. So she stormed out of commentary and started yelling at Exodus right when she had Ice Cold submitted, and Ice Cold was tapping out and the ref was distracted. And Exodus didn't like that, but then Ice Cold tried to take advantage and get a pin, but then the ref was still distracted by Genesis and she couldn't get the upper hand. So the match ended in a no contest because they were all yelling at each other and arguing with each other. And then eventually it came to a decision where David decided that there was going to be a triple threat match to see who was going to be the leader of Exile. So this might be happening either this weekend or in the next few weeks or whatever, but either way, that's what's going on here. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match / no match? And how Genesis is playing into this situation?
I think Genesis wants to be the leader and she wants it to be where it shouldn't even have to be all of this. I feel like she's probably a bit annoyed that she even had to be on commentary for something that she feels she has rightfully got. She said this, in the interview, but she said this a few times on the show itself that she feels like she is the person that it's the most logical to be the leader. She feels that. So if you feel that already, and then you have two people who kind of was already semi at odds because they're whatever reason that they're like not always on the same page, and that's been going on for weeks, you know, you're like, well, that's not happening with me. And even though she has, you know, put them in situations as well where she kind of had to defend it, and then she's won sometimes not in the nicest way, or she cheated to win certain things. It's like she's probably like, well, they're arguing over nonsense, and then there's me who's clearly doing what's best for the team. So her thinking, that it's not surprising that she kind of has this attitude that even during instead of like appreciating that a member of her team was maybe using something she might have learned from her teammate, she got offended. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, are you? And I felt like she might have felt, oh, are you trying to say you better, you could do this better than I can? I felt like that's why she kind of stepped into the ring to kind of basically pause. It's basically she's the reason why the match didn't really end. And so it was good. I do like that there was some good back and forth. I do also think it was smart. You use moves like, okay, maybe use around each other. You know, this might work on her. So I used it. I think that's a good team. I think that's a good team thing to do. Um, it's different if you guys are like doing a dance battle or something, and then you guys copy the person's move because it's like, all right, I don't know, it's kind of, you know, you guys, people who watch like You Got Served and Stop the Yard, I saw, you know, the vibes. Like, you might not want to do that necessarily, like stealing somebody's move, because now that's kind of yucky. But in like wrestling part, like if this helps, you know, we've seen other members might have had to use somebody else to kind of do a move sometimes for whatever reason. Wrestling's wrestling. And so I felt like she got more offended than anything. Like she was trying to take her spot right then, like, wait a minute, I'm the leader here, let me kind of come in. And now this is why we didn't get the end of the match. But now having a triple threat, I feel like if she doesn't win, I feel like she's gonna either cheat to win it. If she doesn't win it, it's probably going to be it's going to be a big issue. I feel like she's going to make all of that just not be the way it could be, or it's not going to be all copacetic or kumbaya between the three of them if she does not win that. I feel like she thinks she's supposed to be in charge. This is what she's supposed to be doing. And that ice cold and, you know, Exodus is just, you guys are here. You're here. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's unfortunate that, you know, it had to get to that place, or she feel like it could have been like a genuine, like maybe we all just try to work together and try to make sure we do best for the group. And it's like, no, I know better than the rest of you. But it was a good match before it ended abruptly, basically, because it basically like ended pretty abruptly once Genesis realized what was going on.
Oh my God, Katrina, you just reminded me so much of my childhood just now. When you brought up You Got Served and Stomp the Yard, those are like two of my favorite movies because I love movies that are centered on like different hobbies, like cheerleading, like with Bring It On and dance, like with that. And those are like my favorite movies ever. I can't tell you how upset I was when in Stomp the Yard when they tried to steal DJ's moves as if he couldn't create anymore. Like, y'all suck. Y'all are 7-time champs and y'all are out here. I'm sorry. It was just really stupid. That is another rant for another day. But oh my God, I hate stuff like that. It's just like, but at the same time, when it comes to wrestling, I just feel like it's sort of fair game because not saying that everybody has the same teacher because everybody doesn't, because that's dumb, but it's just like people borrow each other's moves all the time in wrestling. So it's just like for Genesis to get as mad as she did at Exodus, which is kind of weird to me because I'm just like, y'all were in a team together for close to almost like 2 years now, and you're getting angry at her for using your move. But it seemed like Exodus was doing it in a very aggressive way towards her in that sense. So I understand why she got a little bit upset about that. But here again, I just really feel like Genesis really just needs to leave them alone if that's what she really wants to do. Because it's like at one moment she wants to say she wants to be on her own because she's carrying dead weight. And the next minute she's trying to control them. And it's just like, ma'am, pick a struggle. Pick a struggle. Either you're going to have the struggle of being your own woman or have the struggle of being a leader. And it's just like, it's almost like she really just doesn't truly want to let go. Like she's being indecisive, and I'm gonna need for her to hop off the fence. Like hop off the fence and actually stand in your decisions now. Because you call these women dead weight, but then you were complimenting them on commentary, talking about stuff that you had never seen them do before. And it's just like all you ever did was just trash talk them because they weren't doing what you felt like they should have what you felt like they should have done. And it's just like, ma'am, it's not a team. It's almost like it's just you have to be in charge all the time, and it's just frustrating. I feel like this match shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening because by all accounts she really just needs to just be on her own. But we'll see how this goes cuz yeah. Clearly Exodus and Ice Cold are really tired of her ish. But I honestly feel like this shouldn't be happening. They just need to jump her. Maybe they'll just both jump her and it'll turn into a handicap match. I don't know. But either way, that's how it went. It was no contest. So it's crazy. So we then get a recap of Miss Don't Know How to Stand Up, Ariel Sky, and her match with Coach Campanelli, which of course she had to fight in order to either be in top tier or be the water girl, which of course she lost, and now she's a water girl. And this, of course, fed into the next match, which was Gloria Glitter, who came out with all of top tier versus Pep Riley. And weirdly enough, Pep Riley came out here by herself. There was no Sasha Sparks, it was just her. And Lauren Hunkley even announced her as a former member of Team Spirit, which low-key scared me a bit. I was just like, what's going on? Where's Sasha Sparks? Like, is this really over? Like, what is this? Like, it was almost like they didn't even want to go to war with the rest of them anymore. And I was just, and I don't like that. Like, they humiliated these women. I'm gonna need for Ariel, Pep, and Sasha to really like gather together and just go crazy on them and fight them and go to war, but that's not happening. And it's just, wow, what the heck? But yeah, this was really interesting. Gloria Glitter was very vicious in this match. Of course, she's the veteran here with a lot of her wrestling experience. She was being very vicious in this match. With her athleticism and her show of strength, she actually lifted up Pep Riley a couple of times. And I was just like, "Ma'am, I didn't know you were this strong." And I can speak ad nauseum as to how good Gloria Glitter is in the ring, but you don't know it until you actually watch it in action. She was so good in this match, and Pep Riley was, catching up with a lot of her athleticism and her, acrobatic prowess, from her cheer background and all of the above. And it was a good back and forth, but here again, like we were talking about with Krush, Gloria was out here utilizing top tier to assist her win. And they were holding Pep Riley back, grabbing her hair, stretching her across the ring post and everything in the corner. And it was just really frustrating to watch. It was just like, it was essentially a 4-on-1 match when it came to them being out there. And though Pep tried her best, Gloria Glitter wound up winning with the aerobic annihilator. And of course, Top Tier was celebrating with her in the middle of the ring. Gloria Glitter was stomping all over her because, she's the queen of getting her steps in and all of that. But yeah, the aerobic annihilator wound up ending it, and Pep Riley lost. So it's sad stuff going on for our spirited people. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the trajectory of top tier and where they're going?
I mean, they have a good group of ladies on the team. So it's not like, they're not going to go far necessarily. It's not that. It's just, I feel like they're doing so much. It's just so aggressive, so over the top. Now, to be fair, Gloria Glitter was a little bit aggressive, semi anyway. Like, she had the, like, she's what you call, like, if you ever, like, horror movie fans maybe know what I'm saying when I say this, but, like, you ever seen a movie with, like, you have, like, the creepy, like, white people, but they're, like, smiling, but they're not really happy. It's more creepy smiling. And so with Gloria Glitter, it's like she's gave off this deposition like she was, happy, but then she would do little things throughout the match that gave a very different picture of what her face might have been portraying. And so, I feel like now she just kind of, with everything she's doing, it just kind of fits what she was kind of doing, but now she doesn't have a reason to pretend to be like, yeah, I'm doing this, but like, girl, you was kind of being a little bit like kind of mean before. It's just now you have a more of a reason because you're attached yourself to Coach Campanelli. He was already, for me, from the very beginning, just always iffy in regards to how I felt she was with people. And then Krush, who feels how she feels, and why she felt she needed to do this and align herself with top tier. And so it's unfortunate for Pep Rally because, she literally has nobody in any of this. They kind of came in, and even with Sasha Sparks, it's like you guys are there, but like you guys came in with the, mindset that you will be part of, uh, uh team spirit, like you would be part of something and not all of this drama. Like I'm quite sure it's like you kind of like come in, you're like, oh, I'm involved in drama that I really didn't have nothing to do with, because to be fair, Pep Riley and Sasha Spark are like the last two. They had nothing to really do with, like, it's not their fault that Ariel and Coach Campanelli couldn't decide how they were going to do the team. That has nothing to do with them. They came in super last minute, and so like they're in all this nonsense for something they had nothing to technically do. It's like they getting punished for something they didn't do. And this is kind of why I'm a little bit annoyed with Ariel Sky, because girl, Like, you are partially the reason some of this is happening, because you and Coach Campanelli couldn't decide together, or you felt like you had to overstep her, even though Coach Campanelli, like, you're part of a team, it should be a team effort to decide who's joining. But even with that being said, that had nothing to do with these two girls. And so I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. I didn't think she was going to win it. Honestly, I felt like they wanted to make an example, and it did. And it's unfortunate for them, because they literally had nothing to do with the dispute that happened, even with getting to the finals of the tournament in the first place. That really had nothing to really do. They were just there basically, like, cheering for the most part. They wasn't even part of any of this. And so now have them getting beat up like that, to that level of just, and then disrespectfully beaten up, because if you stepping on me personally, and this is why I don't wrestle, you got one time. They think that's gonna fly with me. Thinking you'll be getting, you're not getting steps on me. You take your steps outside the ring, not on Katrina. And so personally, I wouldn't let that happen. I wouldn't let that fly. But this is why I am not a wrestler. So poor Pep, poor Pep Rally. She tried, she did. But in this situation, it's this top tier trying to show they're dominant, and if it means they have to be super disrespectful to show it, that's what we're getting. So it's sad to an extent. It's like, it's sad because I feel bad for them. Like, they really just are in somebody's feud that has nothing to do with them. They're just like casualties right now to this feud that happened between basically Ariel and Coach. And to an extent, I think Coach is even using, and I say this like it's working, but I feel like if something goes the wrong way with between Coach and Krush and Gloria Glitter, that she's going to be on to the next, or she'll leave, because I never really saw Coach Campanelli as being somebody who's completely loyal. I felt like she's done that multiple times, and even when Randy Rara was here, where she was always kind of funny with how she responded to things, or how she had, like, it had to be this way, and if this is supposed to be a squad or your friend or whatever, that's not how you act. And she's always kind of more about self and what makes her, because she thinks she knows everything, she knows best. So I don't even know if things work a different way, if she's even going to be loyal to them. I feel like that's something that both Crush and Gloria kind of need to be, just mindful of while they're at the top of, like, demolishing whatever challenges they're at the moment. That she may turn on you guys as well. You got to keep that in mind with somebody like Coach, who doesn't seem to, like, look at the bigger picture or look at the group as a whole. She looks at herself. She's a person for self first.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a good point because Coach really does center herself in a lot of things and barely. And the thing that I find funny is that with Top Tier being on television, we've seen them be dominant, but we haven't seen Coach really telling them what to do or her being as verbal as she was with Team Spirit in the past. And I think that's interesting how they're playing it. Like they're out here fighting, they're helping each other, but we're not seeing her openly telling them what to do or coaching the way that she was with them. Maybe it's because she knows that these girls are not the type of girls that you can just boss around, or maybe it's just a complete 180 change. Like, I don't know. But it is unfortunate that Pep and Sasha, wound up catching strays from something that Coach was going through with Ariel. And it's a shame that it even had to even get this far because honestly, Ariel was just trying to help. And Coach saw it as a direct, act of defiance, which is how, all this happened in the first place. And it just makes no sense. And it's so sad to see Pep and Sasha at this point just be sort of out in the wind and lost, especially now since Ariel didn't, believe in her own strength enough to stand on her own and actually be the leader that they could have possibly needed at that point. Like, you've just left them to drown while you're up in here being a water girl and acquiescing to top tiers every whim. That sucks. Like, that literally sucks. Like, why are you out here doing that when you could have just stood with them? It's like an abusive relationship. I hate to trigger anybody that's been through that situation, but it is like an abusive relationship where you want to love and believe in the best of that person so bad that you're willing to turn yourself inside out in order to, prove other people wrong that they're a good person when everybody is steady telling you that this person is not a good person. Like, that's what's going on. And the proof is right there happening in front of your face and you're still trying to believe it. No, like, you really have to see that this person isn't good for you. And the fact that Coach sees you as subservient and not as an equal to being in top tier when you've proven yourself to her so many times just shows how she sees her. She doesn't value her. And I'm going to need for Ariel Sky to stand up and actually go back and help the friends that, were brought in with her. Like, help revive Team Spirit, because they actually deserve to have another chance to live again, and not just have you out here just being top tier's servant, for lack of a much terrible term. Um so let me just, yeah, it's just really sad to see. You just really hate to see it, but this is where we're at, and hopefully it'll get better. But that was just a really sad situation to see Pep get caught up in. So they did announce that this weekend we will be having a wild tag team title match, which is very fitting because Mother's Day is this weekend. It's going to be the Mother Truckers, Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag versus Goldie Collins and Katarina Jinx. So that's going to be really interesting. You're going to have the Best in Show, who loves dogs, tag teaming with Katarina Jinx, who is a cat girl. So that's going to be really interesting to see if they, you know, stack up against the Mother Truckers. So that's going to be really cool in terms of an episode of WoW this weekend. So now we've reached our main event, which was Team IQ Superior versus the Island Dynasty in Tiki Chamorro and the Tonga Twins. And of course, Samantha Smart had to get in the ring, but she made her entrance without any ring gear on. Like, she basically had the same outfit on that she comes out in every episode. And I'm like, girl, are we ever gonna see you fight? And I just don't think that's the case. So she comes out and she insults the Island Dynasty yet again, calling Tiki Chamorro Pipsqueak, and calling um the Tonga Twins dumb and dumber. And so as they come out and make their entrance, Tiki Chamorro in this match really bossed up to the disciplinarian. And I appreciate seeing her grow more in her strength. Like, I really love that. I love that she bossed up to her in that way, because a lot of people here again underestimate her because she's sweet and tiny, but she showed toughness in this match, and I love that. And then, of course, you have the Tonga Twins, who are just forces to be reckoned with all the time. Chaos and Kona lifted up the disciplinarian for like a double suplex, and then it was just a really great back and forth match. And of course, you have the Classmaster coming out here, matching power wits with the Tonga Twins. But essentially, they made, I don't want to say they made quick work of the disciplinarian and the Classmaster. But it was essentially a 3-on-2 match, because here again, the disciplinarian was not the disciplinarian. Samantha Smart was not getting in on the action at all. Like, she would try to interfere a little bit, but she wasn't in on the action. So basically, the disciplinarian and the Classmaster were outnumbered. It was funny. So the Island Dynasty wound up winning the match with a double vision and a splash to the disciplinarian, and they won the match, which basically means that IQ Superior does not get an opportunity at the Mother Truckers for the tag team titles. And Tiki broke the yardstick, and she looked so cute breaking the yardstick, and I just loved it. And I was like, yes, justice is served. That's what y'all get for insulting them earlier in the show. And the show ended with the Island Dynasty on top, and it was just really cool to see. But before the episode went off, before this match even happened, we did see an intriguing segment with Princess Aussie dressed up in her tracksuit, walking up to a person and asking them for partnership as she goes up against Krush and Top Tier. And it seemed like she was, negotiating and bargaining with the person, saying, hey, I know that we've had our differences before, but I really need a partner. And you are one of the main people that has pushed me to my limit in the ring. And I would just love to have you on my partner. So please think about it. So, Katrina, before we get into the match, who do you think the mystery person is that Princess Aussie is trying to recruit to be her partner?
Hmm, I don't even know. I'm trying to think who would be like a solo person that wouldn't mind teaming up. It has to be somebody who's not who's not like a heel, like somebody who you would think wouldn't be somebody that would team up with Princess. And I'm actually not sure. Like I thought of some people at first, but then it's like, no, this person might have been tagged with somebody else already, or this person, especially with some of last week's episode too. It's like, I don't think like what would be the purpose of this person. So I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know. But I am excited to see who she picks. I'm surprised she's going to tag route in regards to like we know how it was important for her to hit those goals as a solo wrestler there, but maybe this will have her maybe stand a little bit more with top tier by maybe having somebody with her and that she's not completely alone. But I don't know. I'm not sure who it could be that I'm like makes sense because you know, it's like anybody who I'm thinking, I'm like, would this make sense to add with her? Would this work if this person's already like teamed up with somebody else or they're grouped up with anybody else? So I actually don't know, but I guess that's a good thing because that means I can be surprised when it's revealed. Um, but yeah, as far as the match, I thought it was a good match. I love the Tongas, I do, and while I can respect you know, the disciplinarian and taskmaster, again, I'm all for using size if you have it. If you're like tall enough, if you have length, whatever, use it. And I'd like that they do that. But I do love me like Tiki too. I feel like she's definitely grown a lot from when we first saw her in this iteration of being very quiet. And I don't know if it's like I do think part of it is because she's been with the Tongas a bit, but I think other part of it is that she's taking more trust in herself and trust in what she can do, even being a tiny a person. She can be tough, which if anybody who knows background about her, like she played in that was a bit tough. But that's sometimes very different than kind of standing up to people who's a little bit bigger than you. It's a little different sometimes, and when you're having people who assume, oh, you're not gonna do anything because you're tiny, as somebody who's pretty tiny. And so, like, I think a part of it is just she gotten a boost from the Tongas, but another half is she's finally standing on. She knows, like you know what you can do, and I like that. I like this level of like, okay, there's the spunk. This is what I've been needing to see, and I like that the fact that she even was the one to break the thing is like this is her kind of like she's standing with the Tongas, like her Polynesian sisters, but she's also kind of standing up for herself as well. And I think that's something I've been, really like watching that happen and watching that progress with her has been really awesome to see. And I like that even with the way they were moving together, it was like, yeah, you guys are like really in sync with how you guys are working different styles. They wrestle very differently, but also it worked. And so I'm just happy. I'm glad the way it worked. I'm not sure what Samantha Smart was there for because she really did not do much. It was one of those just like you're here, I guess. And being that you were the reason why this match happened in the first place, girlie, you think you would do more. Like you the reason why you guys got the main. You did all this, the insulting and everything else, and then you didn't do anything. So personally, I would have like. I don't know if you ever like anybody who watched WWE, but like when they still like take somebody and flip them over inside the ring, like make them fight. It's happened a lot with like Trish Stratus. I felt like that happened to her a lot, where they'll just force her into the ring to fight because she would try not to. In those type of situations, you got to like force person in. Like, you know what? You did all this, and you're the reason. Let me get a couple licks in, and they should have just dragged her in there and did what had to be done. But I thought it was a good match otherwise. But I'm just really, really proud of Tiki. I think she's really come a long way since we first started watching her in this iteration.
Yeah, she really has. Like it's just so cool to see her rise up to that. And Samantha Smart seems to be all bark and no bite. And I hate to use that phrase to even describe anybody, but she really is all bark and no bite. Like she will come out there and talk so much trash, but then can't back it up to save her life. And it's just like, ma'am, why? Like why do you even try? Like chill out. Just please chill out. But I am glad that Tiki and the Tonga twins have gotten back on, the same page, in terms of fighting with each other side by side. And I did love seeing them, and their chemistry happen. So maybe they could go after the trios title if they wanted to, too. Let's build up that division. That would be really cool. So, yeah. I thought that's a really cool observation that you compared that situation with Samantha to Trish Stratus. Like, I forgot all about that. Ooh, it's been so long. It's like you've been watching wrestling like your whole life, and then you just so much happens and you just forget about certain things. But yeah, that did used to happen with her. But yeah, it's just this episode ended in a very both episodes really ended in a very dominant fashion with sort of, the faces being on top and winning and stuff like that. So this weekend is probably set to be a really good episode. I'm looking forward to it. But we've reached the end of our time together. Thank all of you so much for watching this double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk. Wow, all 82 of you. Thank you guys so much. This is the biggest audience we've had. Thank you. 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 A billion times. Thank you guys for the support and for the love. So, of course, if you want to watch Wow Superheroes, you can go online to their website at wowe.com. That's WOWE.com, and type in the zip code so you can see what time it comes on for you and what channel it comes on for you on regular television if you want to do it that way. You can also watch episodes on Vice TV because it even came on after Dark Side of the Ring last night. So if you're into Vice TV, you can watch it on there. You can also watch it on Pluto TV as well. And you can watch the matches on YouTube because they do upload full episodes the week after the episode airs on the weekend. So please check those out. Or you can check out individual matches on their YouTube channel and follow them at Wow Superheroes everywhere and support women's wrestling from their perspective and also as a whole. Just continue to support and love on women's wrestling because these women are out here changing lives, busting their butts for equality in this amazing sport that we love. And we're out here being a part of it, and it's just really great. So let's just continue to push everything forward for women's wrestling as a whole. So, of course, Katrina, thank you so much for joining me on this amazing episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow. And just tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
Just basically follow me on social media and Cat We Trust. Everything is the E is 3 in everything but YouTube and Facebook because people got it before I did. But just check out my Instagram. I have been posting some of my recent interviews at a show I worked, which has been really fun. And I got to post one that you guys will see. I didn't realize how I got through it. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, and it worked, and it looked like great. And so like check it out there. And anything new I have, just follow my channel for any new reviews, interviews, and that stuff. It has been a bit hectic because I have 2 kitties at the end of like different at the end of a journey, but starting a new one. And so it's been very hectic on my end trying to do all the mommy stuff and still do everything else that I do. So just keep following on my channels. Catch me on Tuesdays with Shay with Body Slam for NXT and the Meta 2 after show. And then here, usually Wednesdays again. It's been a little wonky the last few weeks, so we apologize. But life happens sometimes. But normally on Wednesdays you catch me with my girly Steph to talk about.
Yes, we are so sorry, guys, but we're here and we fight through and we give you your wow content. So it's great. And Katrina is out here doing the things and being awesome like she knows how to be. And that's all that matters. So, of course, you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter/X at Queen Steph Hardy. You can listen to my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your audio podcast. It's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else. And you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is The Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And you can also catch all of my articles on dailyddt.com. I'm still working on a couple of new things, so please be on the lookout for those articles because there's a lot going on in wrestling and a lot going on in life, but I'm still trying to, get my ideas out there and share them in a healthy way and be, a shining light in this space. And of course, you can catch this show on most Wednesdays, like Katrina said. And of course, if we do reschedule it, we'll let you guys know when we reschedule it for, because life be life in, but wrestling is gonna wrestle, and we do that. And I do have new episodes of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast up. Please go and listen to French Trick Cat Bars, which is available everywhere. So please listen to that episode. And I will probably have a new episode this weekend as well, because I'm trying to be more consistent, because I'm working towards a goal, but because I just want to be more consistent with my episode output with that. And of course, book your girl for color commentary. Please book your girl. And also, I'm open to ring announcing because I do have a degree in music, so I do have a voice. So if you want to book me for ring announcing, we can do that too as well. So yeah, I'm open to any and everything, so it's cool. But yeah, book your girl for stuff, and also buy my merch at foryourwear.com/Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and just continue to support me in all avenues, and support us to support In Cat We Trust, and support all of us women out here in wrestling media. So of course, this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And until next time, bye y'all.